Hello friends, I hope everyone is good. In this video we will talk about UTI or urinary tract infection. So let's see what is UTI. UTI, urinary tract infection. Now, if we break this word UTI, then we see that this is infection of the urinary tract. So it's a combination of these words. So there is an infection and it is in the urinary tract. Whenever we talk about the infection, then there are some causative agents or infectious agent which are involved, and we will see what are those infectious agents. Secondly, because we are talking about the urinary tract, so we need to know what it is actually, what is the urinary tract. So let's draw a diagram of the urinary tract. Urinary tract comprises of upper and lower urinary tract. These are two bean-shaped structure which we call the kidneys. The left one is located a little higher than the right one. Now from these kidneys, from both kidneys comes the ureters. These are the one which are carrying the urine out of the kidney and into the urinary bladder. This is urinary bladder, and ultimately it gives rise to this portion which we call the urethra. This is urethra. Let me write down names. This is left kidney. It's ureter. It's urinary bladder. And this is urethra. This is the last portion which exits from the body. So this hole is known as the urinary tract, and the kidneys are known as the upper urinary tract, upper portion, and the rest including the ureter, urinary bladder and urethra are known as the lower urinary tract. In male we have another structure which is lying very near to the urinary bladder. This is what we call the prostate. Prostate is not present in the female. This is known as prostate. And there is another difference between the urinary tract of male and female, and that difference is in the urethra. The length of the urethra is very short in female, but it is elongated or long urethra in male. So this is a major difference. So whenever there is infection in this tract, then we call it urinary tract infection. If infection is limited to the urethra, we call it urethritis. I have told in my last video that whenever you see the word itis, it means infection or inflammation. So whenever there is infection of the urethra, we call it urethritis. Whenever there is infection of the prostate, we call it prostatitis. Whenever there is infection of the urinary bladder, we call it cystitis. Cystitis. Whenever there is infection of the kidney, we call it pyelonephritis. Pyelonephritis. So up till now we have seen that whenever there is infection of the urinary tract, it may involve either the urethra, which is we call the urethritis. This is the lowest most portion, which is short in female and which is long in male. There is another extra organ in the male which we call the prostate, which is located just underneath the urinary bladder, And if there is a infection of the prostate, we call as prostatitis. If there is infection of the urinary bladder, we call it cystitis. And when the infection involves the kidney, we call it pyelonephritis. Now let's see what are the causative agent. What is the etiology or causative agents of the urinary tract infection? Causative agents. Most important cause of the urinary tract infection in almost more than 80% is E. coli or Escherichia coli. It's a gram negative. Coli. This is the most important cause of the infection, and it involves almost 80% of the people. It can be Proteus mirabilis. Majority of the bugs which cause urinary tract infection, they are gram negative. Then it can be enterococci and enterobacters. Enterobacter, which is also causative agent. And in some people, it can be Klebsiella pneumoniae. Klebsiella pneumoniae. So these are the causative agent of the urinary tract infection. There must be some people who are more predisposed or they are more like vulnerable to develop the urinary tract infection as compared to others. So what are those people, or what are those conditions which make someone at a higher risk of developing the urinary tract infection? If someone is diabetic, then the immune system is compromised, so that person has a higher chances of developing risk factor, developing urinary tract infection. Being female, because females have short urethra, so they are exposed to the causative agents more than the male. Pregnancy. Pregnant female are more prone to develop urinary tract infection because as a result of the higher concentration of progesterone, the movement of the muscles of the urinary bladder, they are less. So urine will stay for a longer period of time over there, and it can cause UTI. Other than this, if someone has got indwelling Foley's catheters, if someone has been passed with the tubing which helps to drain urine out of the urinary bladder, say for in those patients who had developed benign prostatic hyperplasia, this compresses on the urinary catheter, urethra, and you will have to pass a Foley's catheter to let the urine drain out of the bladder. So passing someone with the Foley's catheter will put them at a risk higher than others for development of the UTI. That is why pregnant female or pregnant patients are avoided the Foley's catheter, because it ultimately results in development of the UTI, which isn't good not only for the patient but also for the baby or the fetus. So sexual encounters also put someone at a higher risk of development of the UTI. Sexual encounters. Sometimes these condoms which are used, they may be contaminated, and they can also cause UTI. Having some anomaly of the anatomical anomaly of urinary tract. If someone has got an anomaly of the urinary tract, that can also work as a risk factor for the development of the urinary tract infection. So what happens that if, for example, let's say someone has been passed a Foley's catheter and there is contamination of the some causative agent, those viruses or bacteria, rather viruses, those bacteria, they will enter here. Once there, our immune system will recognize them, and our immune system will send some soldiers in the form of neutrophils. Now these neutrophils, they start an inflammatory process here, but these microorganisms, for example E. coli, they have their own some mechanisms which evades the attack from the neutrophils or the immune system. They may just make aggregate on the wall of the urinary bladder, and they will develop a biofilm here. Biofilm. Not only on the wall of the urinary bladder, but also on the surface of the Foley's catheter, because of the presence of fibrinogen over there. So in spite of the fact that immune system has been mounted and neutrophils have gathered there, but somehow these microorganisms or these bacteria, they have devised their own way of evading the immune system. And then either they stay here, or if they are not properly treated, they need to be treated promptly, but if they are not treated, they try to ascend upwards and ultimately going to the kidneys, where they can start pyelonephritis. Now even if they are not treated at this stage, there is a vein which we call the renal vein. Let me make it here with the help of the green. This renal vein, it drains in inferior vena cava. Inferior vena cava, which is carrying blood from different body parts towards the heart. So this renal vein, it not only drains the blood from the kidneys, but also the microorganisms. They enter into the bloodstream, cause bacteremia or septicemia, and patient may develop the septic shock. So this is very important to recognize where these bacteria are and what they are doing with the body, and very important to diagnose and then treat them. So in order to diagnose them, first we need to know what are the clinical features of urinary tract infection. And if I write down here, what are the clinical features of the urinary tract infection? The clinical feature may be divided into the lower urinary tract infection and upper urinary tract infection. Lower urinary tract infection will present with like pain with urine, which we call the dysuria, or difficulty in passing out the urine because there is so much or excruciating pain, or there is burning micturition. Secondly, suprapubic pain. Suprapubic pain. This is the pain right above the pubic area, or you can say lower abdominal area, where patient will feel pain and heaviness. Patient may give a history of frequency and urgency. Frequency is passing urine multiple times. I am talking about the lower urinary tract infection manifestation. Not only this, but patient is also having the complaint of urgency and is not able to hold the urine. So dysuria, suprapubic pain, frequency and urgency. Patient also have visible blood in the urine, which we call the hematuria. So these are clinical features of urinary tract infection, which involves mainly the lower part. What are the clinical features of the upper urinary tract infection, which is obviously very dangerous? We need to avoid this pyelonephritis, and we'll see shortly why. These features will be like patient will develop fever with rigors. Patient will develop malaise, nausea, vomiting, and pain in the flank or loin region. Flank or loin region, which is on the back side of the on our back side of lower back. Flank or loin pain. So this pain, vomiting and fever with the rigors can be a manifestation of the upper urinary tract infection. Now, how to diagnose other than the clinical manifestation, how we can diagnose these patients? If a patient presents with these clinical manifestation and patient is giving some sort of urethral discharge, then you need to first rule out sexually transmitted disease or sexually transmitted infection. This is very important, because if a patient is presenting with any of these symptoms and has got a urethral discharge, a creamy discharge from the urethra, then you need to rule out the sexually transmitted infection with the help of swab, and you need to do the physical examination of the area. Secondly, we do the urine dipstick test. Now I am talking about the diagnostic modalities. Urine dipstick test. In the urine dipstick test, we may know the presence of protein or proteinuria, blood or hematuria, presence of WBCs and nitrates. These may be present on urine dipstick test. Other than this, we can also do the urine microscopy. We can look at the urine under the microscope to look for some characteristics feature of the urinary tract infection, identifying the WBC and the bug. And finally, we can also do urine culture sensitivity other than the urine microscopy. On this cultural sensitivity, if we find bacteria which are 1000 colony forming units per ml, then this is diagnostic of the urinary tract infection. Why it is important to identify or diagnose the urinary tract infection? Because we want to treat it immediately rather than letting it go upwards. Secondly, it is important to do these tests especially in the pregnant female, because even if the pregnant female, when they are infected, they may not be showing the symptom. And as a whole, 1/3 of the females who are infected with the urinary tract infection, they may give you a normal urine dipstick test, so you need to do the urine culture sensitivity in these patients. So this is how you can diagnose the urinary tract infection. Now let's go on this part, how to manage it, how to treat the urinary tract infection. This is the treatment part. First of all, you have to make two decisions. If a patient is suffering from lower urinary tract infection versus upper urinary tract infection and uncomplicated versus complicated urinary tract infection. If a person is, what is the difference between complicated and uncomplicated? Uncomplicated which will be the one which is not involving the kidney and its function. So urea and creatinine are normal and urine output is okay. That is known as the uncomplicated urinary tract infection. And the complicated is the one which not only involves the kidneys but its function is compromised. So this is known as complicated, and it's a bigger problem as compared to the uncomplicated. And about the lower and upper, I have already mentioned. So if the patient is either suffering from the lower urinary tract infection or has got an uncomplicated UTI, then we can give patients the oral treatment and patient can be sent home on these medication for 3 to 7 days. What are these oral medications? These are trimethoprim, it may be nitrofurantoin, or it may be some other oral medications like it's a trimethoprim, nitrofurantoin, and some other medications can be given in the oral form, and patient will be given this medicines for only 3 to 7 days. Now, if a patient has got either a upper urinary tract infection or has developed a complicated urinary tract infection, then you need to start these patients on IV antibiotics. And you need to give these IV antibiotics for at least for a period of time as long as the patient is feverish. Once the patient is off the fever, then you can send patient on oral medications. So the third one is the amoxicillin, trimethoprim, nitrofurantoin, and amoxicillin. So patient can be managed either of these oral medication if either patient has developed lower urinary tract infection or uncomplicated. But if patient has got the complicated urinary tract infection, then you will have to give IV antibiotics, and the best choice will be either third generation cephalosporin like ceftriaxone, or there may be like quinolones, ciprofloxacin. So either of one should be started for those patients who are either suffering from upper urinary tract infection or complicated one. These IV intravenous antibiotics are given for a period of time as long as the patient has got the fever. Once his patient is off the fever or patient's temperature is normal, you can switch them back to some oral antibiotic, and these antibiotics need to be given for a longer period of time as compared to the uncomplicated or lower urinary tract infection. So this is how we treat them. And lastly, how UTI can be prevented. Is there a way to prevent? Prevention. We ask people to increase water intake, They can also use increased amount of cranberry juices. And if some females are having repeated infections like more than 3 times per year, then you can put them on some prophylactic antibiotic so that they do not develop UTI, because this can be a problem. So let me recap it. Urinary tract infection involves either kidney or urinary bladder or prostate or urethra. Urethra is shorter in female and longer in male. That is why female are at a higher risk as like the diabetics, pregnant, Foley's catheter insertion, sexual encounter using condoms which are substandard, and anomaly of the urinary tract, because these are all the risk factor. The causative agent are in around 80% of the cases it's the E. coli, Proteus mirabilis, Enterobacter and Klebsiella pneumoniae. But 80% of cases are because of the E. coli. Clinical feature are the manifestation are how these present to the doctor. There may be pain on passing urine. There may be pain in the lower part of the abdomen or the suprapubic pain. They may be passing urine for a larger number of time, more and more time they are passing urine, and they cannot hold their urine because of the urgent feeling of passing it out. Some people do have visible presence of the blood, which we call the hematuria. But if it involves the kidney, then patient may present with a fever and rigors, malaise, nausea, vomiting, and flank or loin pain. We do certain tests. First, we need to rule out sexually transmitted disease. If someone is giving some of these symptoms and also has got a visible discharge, which is most of the time whitish or creamy, along with these infections, we need to do the swab test to rule out these sexually transmitted infections like chlamydia, trachomatis, these things. We can do the urine dipstick test, urine microscopy, and urine culture sensitivity in order to find out the causative agent. Sometimes we need to rule out the renal stone because they are also a risk factor for the development of UTI, and renal stone are ruled out using the ultrasound or CT scan of the abdomen. Once diagnosed, we can treat them, and the treatment is divided into whether the patient is having lower urinary tract infection or complicated or uncomplicated. If they have lower urinary tract infection or uncomplicated, they are put on oral treatment for 3 to 7 days and can be sent home. Oral treatment is trimethoprim or nitrofurantoin or amoxicillin. But if they have either upper urinary tract infection or complicated one which involves kidneys, then we need to give IV antibiotics like ceftriaxone or ciprofloxacin, they are started and the patient is put on the IV antibiotics, and they are admitted in the hospital as long as they are feverish. Once they have no fever, they can be sent home on oral antibiotics. So this whole is concept of urinary tract infection, which is a very important diagnosis, and this is very important to identify those patients who have developed it, because if a patient say is diabetic or somehow patient is immunocompromised, then a simple UTI can lead to the complication which are a major problem. So guys, if you like this video, please hit the like button. If you think it can help someone else, please share it. And if you haven't yet subscribed my channel, do subscribe it. And thank you so much for watching this video.